Hey, Mind, Body, Spirit community. I'm Courtney Riley. I'm one of the co-hosts of the Mind, Body, Spirit Summit, and I'm super stoked today to have Marilyn Perlman, Dr. Marilyn Perlman, with us. Marilyn and I have known each other for 5 years, and we have worked together in some very deep ways through dreams and orosoma and just deep intuitive self-work. And you've been such an amazing mentor to me, Marilyn, and beautiful guidance in my life. And I'm so excited for this community to get to experience some time with you and feel just the light that you bring into the world. And I'm just so hoping that some of them will get the chance to experience you in their lives, because you've just made mine so much better. A little bit more about Marilyn is that Dr. Marilyn Perlman is a clinical psychologist who's particularly interested in the mind-body-spirit connection for actualizing wholeness, healing, and consciousness. Marilyn offers consultations for orosoma, a holistic healing and insight system based on the energy of color and biodynamics, minerals, essential oils, and plants. So orosoma is a non-intrusive, self-selective soul system, is what they say. Yeah. Orosoma connects us to our mission, purpose, and our energetic balance. Another side note about Marilyn is that after her public relations career, she chose to earn degrees in psychology. So she is a clinical psychologist who specialized in behavioral medicine, in psychosocial oncology, and bereavement. So before we jump into the orosoma conversation and your journey towards that, I would love for you to share, Marilyn, what kind of psychologist you have been.
Oh, well, thank you, Courtney. And, I feel so deeply connected to you, too. And it's such a pleasure to have this conversation and to be able to share. So thank you so much. So I'm a clinical psychologist with a specialty in what's called behavioral medicine, which is health psychology. And I came to that through my interest initially in lifespan psychology, how we develop over the lifespan as adults. And then I was invited to be part of a research team studying cancer patients. And from there, I found that my really driving interest, which was how did the mind and body connect, where's the potential of healing between the mind and the body, could really be explored through working with people who are challenged by such a potentially fatal illness like cancer.
Yeah.
And so in working with cancer patients, I found that I could have the privilege of being with people as they really sought meaning and purpose, because it really can bring you to the edge of, who am I, why am I here, and what do I want to accomplish in order to heal, in order to make the most of my life, something that I believe we all are seeking, or I hope we could be brought to seek when we're not sick. So that's where I spent the first part of my career as a psychologist, was working with cancer patients.
Wow. And, what a vulnerable space to be working with people. And like you're saying, people, in such situations are often then led to those deeper questions. So, yeah. I know with this clinical background, I know that you have such a rich background and so much training in the Western kind of more medical world and clinical world. And at the same time, you've done so much deep studies. You've done intricate studies into what maybe people would consider more like esoteric or energetic or intuitive fields of study. Could you talk a little bit about your journey on each of these paths and how and when you began to integrate the two?
Oh, I would love to. Thank you. So I've always been a seeker. I've always been someone who's interested in exploring ancient wisdom traditions, looking at spiritual belief systems, and really I was initially on my own personal pursuit of understanding what it means to wake up in this lifetime. And I've always been someone who's been interested in examining life, examining life's bigger questions. And so along the way, I had some deep dives into, for example, Peruvian shamanism, where I spent some time learning those traditions. And I explored many different paths. And I met our wonderful friend and teacher, Jackie Walker, in my 20s, which, by the way, was a long time ago. And Jackie, as you know so well, Courtney, was someone who was really steeped in the psychology of Carl Jung and the idea of not only the unconscious, but what we call the collective unconscious, that there's a way in which we all can tap into something larger than us that can inform. So, in meeting Jackie and learning more, and then going into her world, which is the symbolic world, particularly the world of the dreams we have in our sleep, I started to find that that was what was compelling me to want to work with people in a way that would mean being genuinely helpful. So now I'm going a bit backwards. I'm going all the way back to when I was in public relations before I was in psychology, so I hope you don't mind.
No, I love it.
I was on a panel for public relations talking about my expertise in working with the media, and internally I had this great insight of it's my ability to sort of connect to what people want to hear, to have incentive, maybe to buy a product or to attend a certain play. And why couldn't I take that to really help people grow and evolve? And that's when I returned to graduate school to go into psychology. And Jackie was a big influencer in that because she was the relationship in which the world of the symbolic and dreams opened up.
Wow. So there was there a particular time when you felt certain kind of particular like abilities become more clear, or was it that they were intertwining the whole time? Do you know what I'm trying to ask you?
Yes, I do. So I think that, I think some of us are just wired to be fairly perceptive. So I've always been a perceptive person. I've always been interested in the conceptual, not so much the concrete, like what's behind the veil, you know. So psychology was a great fit for me because I'm interested in human potential and the exploration within the psyche of what heals, what makes us whole, how do we resolve problems, how do we overcome that which has wounded us. And so coupled with that, I have an intellectual thirst, but I also have been someone who's been very intuitive all my life. Yeah. And I think intuition is a perception, just like sensation is a perception, the way we are in the body. Mm-hmm. So some people are really keen with their senses, what they see, what they hear, what they taste. Some people's keen perception comes through their thoughts and how they intellectualize and are able to comprehend through thinking. Some people, their primary way of perception is through the feeling realm, their gut feeling with their emotions. And then there's some of us who can have that flash of knowing, that flash of insight called intuition, which is, I would say, one of the more primary ways I perceive. So moving into becoming a psychologist, I was able to integrate that, even though I'm very much anchored in my field, in my knowledge and practice of psychology. I can't help but weave in the intuitive. Right. And so as I move forward in my own world, still interested in ancient wisdom traditions, still interested in how we wake up, how we bring consciousness to patterns in our lives, how we seek a connection to spirit. Yeah. I came across Orasoma, which is this beautiful system that for me brings together all my worlds.
Oh, wow.
It is, and you can see it behind me, right? So it's these. Would you like me to talk about that now, or
yeah, it's great. I have another quick question actually.
Okay.
You stimulated something in my mind about, thinking about so the collective consciousness, this collective consciousness space, and that all of us. Do you feel like everyone has access to it? First of all.
I really do. I think that it may sound highly esoteric to some people, but I think that we know through the world of dreams, for example, that there are certain symbols that recur in dreams, and those symbols have the same meaning across time and culture. Yeah. So, for example, if you think about the symbol of turtle, in the Native American, many Native American traditions, it's symbolic of Mother and Earth. And you can look around the world, again, across time and culture, and find that there's a similar meaning derived from this symbol. And how do you explain that? How could that occur? Jung explained that by with this concept that there's a universal language that connects us all, that we all have access to. Right. And then there's a way in which our individual psyches then might have a personal association to such things.
Right. So also with that, it makes me think about, intuition and certain, what maybe some people might call gifts or abilities. And when I was thinking about this interview, I was thinking about, there's certain people who they gravitate towards math or engineering, or they're a great athlete. There's just different ways that their self gets expressed, and also what turns them on, right? So I can do math, right? I can sit down, I can do math, I can learn math. It doesn't spark a burning fire in me to sit down and solve certain mathematical equations that are out there. Now, there is someone out there where that does, which is so beautiful, right? And then for me, intuition and helping people similar to you, figure out their personal voice and their direction in life and what sets them on fire, and pieces and parts of themselves that are desiring integration and understanding. There's a fire in me about that. So would you say it's kind of like the nature versus nurture conversation, I guess, right?
Yes.
So, so would you say that we all have the ability to do the math, the intuition piece, right? But there's certain people who have more of an affinity or a desire to learn it and sculpt it, because you worked on honing it.
It's true. I mean, I hear what you're saying, and I do agree with you. I think, let me put it this way.
Yeah.
For example, there are certain people, if you said, I'd like you to work towards running a marathon, their bodies are built to do it. They enjoy running, and they probably have a gift for it. It's not that hard for them. They'd still have to work at it, right?
Right.
Whereas if you asked another person who isn't athletically inclined, who's always kind of maybe that just hasn't been their thing and they're not attracted to it, could they run the marathon? Probably. Would they be successful? I'm not sure. It might take them 10 times the effort, 20 times the effort. Their training may take much, much longer, and they might not ever be a winner. It doesn't mean they couldn't aspire and do it, because I believe that the potential is always there if the passion and drive is there.
Right.
But intuition's the same. I think that there's some people, they have the gift, but we're all capable of developing it.
Got it.
And when you think about it, if you believe in evolution, if you believe we came from the ape species, we were initially highly instinctual. Animals are instinctual. So what happened to our instincts? The frontal lobes, our brains, are magnificent for thinking, and we're able to feel, and we're sentient. But I wonder if that gave our instinct or our intuition a backseat. And we live in a society where that, because you can't feel it, touch it, it's hard to study, it's dismissed as Bible, right? So.
Yeah, which I think can make it challenging for those who feel connected to it to put it out there sometimes. So it's awesome that I feel like you were saying you found Orosoma and this place for you to land where there was an integration of it. So I would love for you to talk about, Orosoma, what it's brought to your life, and then also what is Orosoma?
Yeah, what is this thing that we're talking about?
How does it benefit somebody? That kind of thing.
Of course. So, what I want to say about, just to connect this question and the one you just asked me, is that I think that the greatest gift in doing any work, whether it's psychotherapy, dream work, the grief work I've done, any of those things, the work you do, Courtney, I'm sure you can relate, is you really want to bring people back to themselves. People, you want people to remember themselves, to know that really the answers are there within, and that we have to develop that muscle of trust and faith. And so I want to just circle back first to this idea of, do we all have intuition? We've all had a gut feeling. We've all had a sense of things, and just learning to trust that and grow that. So, and that brings me to Orosoma. What I love about Orosoma, first off, is that it's a non-intrusive self-selected system. You can see it behind me. It's 116 bottles. Each of them are different. They all contain color. The upper fraction is oil. The lower fraction is triple purified water. Okay. And they contain gems, essential oils, herbs, and that's why you see the vibrant color. They're completely from nature. And color's a universal language. Color's all around us, color's in our world, and color is manifest in light. Different waves of light vibrate at different colors. So, pardon my reach, I'm back. So if I show you this beautiful image, which may have a reflection on it, you can see that it's an image of a body with different colors moving up the system. Very familiar, right? I think most of your viewers are going to be familiar with the chakra system. And the reason we imagine those colors, which again, as I say, across time and culture, it seems like those same vibrations of colors are shown in these energy centers, is because it's just light vibrating at different rates. Orosoma is a system that came into the world by a really incredibly gifted woman named Vicky Wall in England at the first part of the 20th century. And she had the gift of auric sight, and she was also a surgical, the equivalent of a surgical podiatrist. So, I really relate to her. I didn't know her, of course, but because she had this ability to be connected to that which is beyond the physical, and to see it and to work with it. But she also was, a surgeon. She was also in the traditional medical world. This system came through Vicky Wall really as almost like a memory. There's a whole story to that. I won't take our time now. But these 115 bottles each are unique in that they're a reflection of color and energy. And in their purity, you can't help but be drawn to that which you need. You can't help but be drawn to that which reflects you. Now, you might say to me, well, okay, I wore blue pants today. Does that reflect me? In a way, yes, perhaps, but it's different because you were attracted to a pigment when you chose your blue pants, whereas these are light manifest as energy. So I should probably let you stop. I should probably stop and see if you have...
No, I think keep going, because I think that's awesome. So with that, so you have these 115 bottles, and, so then from there, how does someone relate to them, and how can they benefit from them? Yeah.
Of course. So one of the reasons I was so attracted to Orsomas, when I first saw it, I knew it was something extraordinary. A lot of people see them and they're so beautiful, they think they're perfume or something. But I could see they were emitting something very strong and very special. The bottles themselves provide insight because the way in which the colors are positioned in the bottle from top to bottom and how they relate to each other when you choose 4 provides a very, very deep conversation. Each color has qualities and meaning, and how they are positioned in the bottle and how they're positioned in the 4-bottle pick tells a story. And it tells the story of what will balance you, what will bring you insight. And it literally shares a story of how did I get here, why am I here, mission and purpose, your gifts, your challenges. It looks at present time, and it looks at what you're drawing to you. Well, how is that possible? Again, you are the colors you choose, and you are energetically matching what you choose because of the living jewels, as we call them, in the bottles. When you use the bottle, you're literally giving back the energy to yourself. They're homeopathic in nature. And what I find so remarkable, Courtney, is over the time I've been doing this, it's just never wrong because it's a reflection of your being. It's not a reflection of your thought. Even if you try to overthink what you're choosing, there's a way in which the bottles you choose are a true reflection. So I've had people say, oh, wow, like that's amazing, but, I could have picked anything. I'm like, fine, I'm going to pick one for you, which we never do. You always choose. And I'd say, here's this bottle. Oh, well, I'm not drawn to those colors at all. Well, what do you associate to these colors? I associate this or that. And so, or Soma, this is how we see these colors. And then it's like, oh, yeah, no, that isn't for me. Right. So the system is Kabbalistic in nature because Vicky Wall's father was a Kabbalistic herbalist. That's a very long story, but she conceived this. The first bottles came in 3 days after he died, and he could never teach her when he was alive because she was a girl. She had to leave home very young and never saw him again. That's another story. But the bottles are, I believe they came in as a divine language between the personality and the soul to remember who you are. Just because the way in which they came in is it's an order by number that works out numerologically. It's an order by number that fits on the tree of life from the Kabbalah. Yeah. And it's an order by number that works overlaid on the Tarot, another wonderful symbol system. And then Tarot grows the system on because there's more than 78 bottles. And so for me, this has been this synergy of so many things that interest me. The last thing I'll say for now is, as a psychologist, I think that psychodynamic talk therapy, there's many modes of therapy, is very powerful, and you can discover a lot and have many insights. With Orosoma, because you choose your bottles, and because they're just colors, I can get to a place with someone in 1 hour that might have taken a long time to get to through talking.
Oh, that's understandable. Yeah.
Yeah.
I always feel like my sessions with you and the sessions I used to have with Jackie, I always said it was equivalent to 4 to 6 other therapy sessions just because it's like symbols and what they can unlock and help. Exactly what you're saying. It's a remembrance. It's a remembering of myself. And it's also a validation of some things that I already knew, but also wasn't quite conscious of. Right? So
that's so cool.
It's like, it's anytime we work together, I'm always like, oh, right. Aha. Like, and it's like, even if I didn't know it yet, I know it when I hear it, that it has truth to it. I'd love for you then, because I know when you're talking about you pick 4 bottles and all that stuff, because I've done the session, could you just walk through, like, so if someone comes over to do a session with you in Orosoma, what does that even look like? Right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Thanks for the opportunity to talk about that.
Yeah.
So the way it works is the system is behind me. It actually has a light so that you can really see the colors really brilliantly. And clients are invited to spend time looking at the bottles and to find what they're drawn to and to do their best to get out of the way, although you can't make a mistake. So you choose the 4 bottles, and then the order in which they're chosen has meaning, and all the colors have meaning. We can have a conversation about that. Orasoma is a system that can bring great insight, but on many levels. It can bring insight on what's happening physically for some people, emotionally, spiritually, mentally, and even if it's in your belief system, karmically. So some people come in with a very specific question or challenge, and we can organize how we reflect on the colors through the lens of that question. I've worked with people who have never done anything like this at all before, and it's to them a very new and skeptical experience. But we can also work with the colors around the concrete. Like, I'm having trouble communicating with my daughter, and we see the pattern. We can look at the lineage of the pattern. We can look at how, if we give back, work with certain energies of the bottles, the colors, how that will support healing a particular situation in the here and now. The conversation can be on a very high spiritual level about mission and purpose in this lifetime. Like, why am I here, and what am I doing, and what does it mean, and what are my gifts and talents? In Orasoma, we talk about coming in on a particular soul ray, which is a particular color or vibration, and what did we come in to do with that? So there's a lot I can say, but so for example, I can show you.
Yeah, great.
Would you like me to show you?
Yeah.
So I'm going to show, and Courtney, you know about this, but so. Are you able to see these fairly well if I move my hair?
Yeah, if you move them a little to, right there.
So, so what do you see? You see 2 bottles that both are homogeneous in color.
Yeah.
On the left, you have what, like call it a violet, and on the right, we have a red.
Yeah.
But for those of you who are viewing today, you most likely had an immediate reaction, whether you knew it or not, that you liked one over the other, or you're more attracted to one over the other.
Totally.
Right? Yeah. So, and that just to let you know that you can't help with color have an opinion. It's just all around us. So you know what you like, and you know what you might be drawn to. Sometimes people choose a bottle based on aversion, and sometimes they choose it because they don't know, and sometimes they think they really, really like the color. So now what if I do this?
Ooh.
So now I have both colors in 2 bottles, but I have red on the top here and violet in the lower fraction, and I have violet on the top here and red in the lower fraction. And you can't help, again, right, to say, I kind of like one of these more than the other. So I'm going to ask you, Courtney, what were you drawn to the first time?
So the one with the purple on the top and the red on the bottom, and then I started to switch, which was interesting to me. Like then I was like starting to really appreciate the other one. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it totally makes sense, and that's very typical that we can go back and forth. But I would say that for those who are first attracted to the violet, were you most attracted to the violet to begin with?
I was most attracted to the red, so it's interesting that then I was attracted when looking at the one with the red on the bottom, but then was kind of, it's almost like
going back and forth.
Yeah.
That's why I couldn't tell which one you liked first, by the way, because you're attracted, and we'll have a conversation offline about what's going on.
I know, right.
But we're normally, what happens is we end up having a preference, is my point. And often if we're attracted, if we say, I really like the red bottle, then when I bring out these 2, you're probably going to want the red in the upper fraction. If you're really attracted to the violet, you probably want it in the upper fraction here. This is more the conscious area of how we look at Orasoma, and this is more the hidden area, or that which we need to develop. This doesn't represent a 4-bottle choice like we talked about. This is just my way of giving you an example. That you can't help but sort of know what you like, and sometimes it does flip around. But in the end...
Would you say it flips around because there's like something that I'm needing or thinking I need, or we can talk about it.
Well, we've been sitting with these for a long time, actually, considering, how long people often look at bottles. People take a lot of time.
Right.
I think because I'm doing this with you, I don't think these are your colors. And I think that's what's really going on. I think that, if you're like, wow, if you really had to hold me to violet and red, I'd be like, that isn't really what my deal is.
Right. Where, like, there might even be somebody watching this right now, and they're spotting one up over your shoulder that they're really attracted to.
Right.
Right? Yeah.
Yeah, so I only bring this out to say that this is, that you find yourself drawn to things. And if I had someone, let's say they were attracted to this one, the violet over the red, and then I bring out, I say, well, would you rather have this one instead? I've never had anybody say yes, because they need it in this particular order. Mm-hmm. And there's great meaning in that. The other beautiful thing about Orasoma is that it brings in the energies of the masters. So there's sets within sets within sets up there. So you have a series of masters that are inside the bottles, the ascended masters, as they call them. It's a very esoteric idea. Archangels, 72 angels, and all the different hues, which you probably can't see, they all have meaning. There's pale colors, there's deep colors, and it goes on from there. So.
And I love, like, through having done this with you, and then I have, the equilibrium bottles at home, that in a way the whatever you're drawn to tells you what's needing to get worked on, but it's also the remedy in some ways, like, right? So then you get the bottle, which I have mine, so mine, and I have my pomanders too. But that there are, that if you could explain that, then there would be a bottle chosen that then you would apply to your body, so that those biodynamic, the plants and the minerals and the gems that are even in it are then bringing a healing system to your aura and your body, correct?
Correct. So what's behind Orasoma is that we are supporting our energy field as it relates to our mental, emotional, and physical.
Beautiful.
So when you work with your equilibrium bottle, equilibrium meaning balance, you're giving back to yourself the energy you need to be back in balance, or to help you evolve to the place you are literally headed. And there's all kinds of experiences people have with using the bottles. I make no claims, neither does Orasoma. I'm only reporting the news, meaning that I've had people report that they have physical sensations, deeper meditation, certain kinds of insights, because the way in which these bottles were initially derived is something I think quite divine. So it's like, you're right, the answer then becomes the remedy. The choice becomes the remedy. Yeah. So you're invited to use the bottle on your body, and it's a way in which you're balancing your energy. So you can't use up that which you already have. In other words, and you can't get something outside of you that you don't already have. Orasoma just takes the energy that wants to come back to balance and helps you balance it. It elevates your energy as well, raises your consciousness. So what will happen is people will go through working with the bottle, and then they will find a yearning to work with the next bottle in their forward series, or they really want to choose again because their colors have changed. Yeah. There's also color within color, layers of color within colors. So people will think their colors have changed, and they often have, but sometimes it's just was hidden in the first bottle, and now we're bringing it out. It's very complex.
Yeah, that's so cool.
So,
and I think too that I know for myself with working with them that it's sometimes very subtle and sometimes not so subtle about what I gain from them, and
right.
that if for me with applying them and utilizing them, it helps me connect to. For me, it connects me with the divine. It's a way for me to have a intersection point with something that centers me and grounds me and connects me, and that in the if it's also assisting me with a remembrance of the self, where I already there's so many answers that are already inside of me. It just allows me to then experience them, right?
Oh, that's so beautiful.
Yeah,
yeah. I mean, and as you know, in Orasoma, the dialogue is very rich.
Yeah.
And there's a way in which that insight then can be connected back to the nonverbal, which is what you're describing.
Uh-huh.
You know, that it's really a system that helps us seek our wholeness. And there's a range of products that, not just the equilibrium, but that work on different layers of our energy field. And I have found that it really heightens my dream state or my meditation site. It's like to me, it's just a way to bridge between the fact I'm in this body and I'm looking to be connected to more. It's a tool to assist with that.
Yeah, so maybe it's a identifier, like to you psychologically, like connect, and then also I'm open to connecting, right? It's like this, right? Like
yes.
you're saying I'm open, and you're telling your system it's time to open, almost. But
yeah, so it's true, something like that. And I think what's really brilliant about the system is because you can't help to but energetically be drawn to that which reflects you. It's just so beautiful how childhood patterns can be revealed. And we can really look at them, and we can look at how we can support energetically healing them. So for me, to go back to the beginning of our conversation, it brings in the examination of the psychology, and then it brings in the spiritual aspect that we're more than who we are in this body, and how do we wake up to that. And I feel like the Orasoma is a dialogue and a product tool that gives you that. I was really resistant initially because I don't want to be selling products. But what I learned is that they're so beneficial, and that when people choose their bottle, they're so drawn to it. You just have to have it. So.
Well, and that brings me to I know that you have a special offering for our community, and would love for them to hear about it and also know how they could get in touch with you.
Oh, well, thank you. So I really appreciate that, and I'm really wishing this endeavor all the best. It's brilliant, and it's a real gift and resource to those who are joining you, because you and your team have taken the steps to help people find the path and the road for their own awareness, their healing, their education, and it's very exciting. So I'd be happy to include a bottle free of charge for the first 5 people that contact me for a consultation.
Well, awesome.
And
that's so beautiful. And I think what a bottle is actually a $50 value, so that's amazing, everyone. So first 5 people that email Marilyn within the subject line Mind, Body, Spirit Virtual Summit, you're going to get a consult and then a free equilibrium bottle, which is, do it, people. Do you want to tell them your email? The email's also inside of the our website.
Sure. So, and I can do this in person or by Skype or on the phone.
Good.
My email address is P as in Peter, ERLMAN phd@gmail.com.
Perfect. That is so awesome. Marilyn, you are such a gift, and I've really enjoyed this. Is there any last nuggets you'd like to leave, or are you feeling pretty complete?
I am feeling complete. It was wonderful to speak with you.
You too.
And I guess I'll see you at Dream Group.
I'll see you at Dream Group. Blessings.
Okay, take care, my dear.
You too.